No, I enjoy everything that you guys do.
Oh, thank you so much. You're on live right now, by the way. You can say that was very kind of you. All right, Michael, Diego, keep your fingers and hands off that. Just kidding. Hey, Sam, we already got food coming in.
Awesome.
What do you
It's the
think,
earliest
man?
we've ever gotten it.
I know, man. All right, everybody. Welcome to the Freedman Adventures live show from Island Fishing Tackle in the beautiful city of Carson, California. As you can see, food is already rolling in the door. Sam and I vow to weigh 500 pounds each by the end of the year. So it's been pretty crazy. All right, I think we're good. I'm ready to go. Sam, good to see you.
How you doing, man?
I'm
Let me get
doing
that
good,
door.
man. How are you doing?
Good.
We got a crazy kind of start to our show. Good evening, everybody, and thanks for being here for the Freedman Adventures live show. It is great to be with you. I'm tempted to look at the food, but we've got a lot to talk about. Sam, of course, will be answering your questions, and boy, I'll tell you, we're on the verge of a lot of great stuff that I believe is going to happen. Number one, Sam, I think, yeah, we're going to eat some great food. I know what you're thinking. Number one, that bluefin is just starting to get out of that
Yeah.
moon phase right now.
Yeah.
It looks like it's ready to go. Last night I was talking to the Pegasus 2, 3 in the morning because I don't have a life. And earlier in the night he said, man, we're getting a good signal tonight, but this weather sucks. And it was, snotty,
Yeah.
choppy. They ended up with 10 from 80 to 180 pounds.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
a
nothing
little
to
bit
sneeze
better
at.
there.
And you got to remember that's a smaller boat, so it isn't like they got 40 guys on there. So 10's not bad, for that group. Probably 14, 15 guys or something like that.
Yeah,
on there.
right, exactly.
Pretty good chance.
Exactly.
Bigger fish.
He told me, Jacob Barclay on the boat, he said, man, we are seeing the fish again. So I'm thinking moon phase, aren't you? Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, the main thing is that as the season progresses, I'm sure all those moon phases or whatever start to kind of run into each other, and they start to be a little more continuous. Whereas, it seems like now we get like 3 or 4 days where it's good, and then maybe 2 weeks where it's okay. Then it comes back on, and then it's going where I think those windows, those 2-week windows where it's down, maybe kind of starting to decrease and decrease. So
Right.
we might see maybe the opposite, where we might see 2 or 3 weeks where it's good, and then maybe 3 or 4 days where it's kind of a little bit
Yeah.
down, which is kind of the way it kind of flips around.
Last year, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I remember that the greater fish may not have been that big, but the fall bite out on Tanner
yeah.
was just limits.
Every day. Yeah. So, I mean, sometimes you take one with the other, right? The size and,
Yeah.
and the volume. But right now, it does feel like kind of like last year. I mean, although when we come off a year like last year where it was just so consistent, you almost want to just roll right into the same thing, But it takes time for that to build and for all that kind of volume to kind of get into our area too. Even though they're going south and coming, as far down as Ensenada and places like that, that's a pretty far run.
Yeah.
Out of San Diego.
Right.
We get so used to just calling out that, they're going down to Ensenada range, but that's pretty far.
Yes.
When they start getting in more of that consistent stuff on the 3/4 day boat, stuff like that, then you'll start seeing the stuff on the 60-mile bank and, the 43, and then it comes up to San Clemente. It comes into our area. Now we get this huge block where the San Diego boats are able to spread out different places and catch fish, and even the LA boats are getting them too. So it's starting to filter in that way.
It is. It looks really, really good, and I'm thinking it's going to go 400 to 500 gram rip rollers.
Right.
Was what they said on the Pegasus was really working well.
Yeah, talking to one guy today, actually David Cho was in here and
Oh, so he had a couple of nice fish on
Yeah,
his Shogun
yeah.
trip.
And so we were just kind of talking about what's working with another customer. And, early on, all the talk was 200 to 300 gram, and that's considered small these days, with all the big jigs we were using the last couple of years. And a lot of the attraction is using something that's easier to fish. We all want to be, we want to show up, have good weather, great food, catch them real easy, and then have a good time, But sometimes you got to work at it, and part of that is using the big jigs,
Yeah.
300, 400, 500 gram jigs, and they are a lot of work. And sometimes you got to go all night before you catch your 2 fish. We all want to put the line in the water 2 times and catch 200 pounders and call it you're done, but it just doesn't work that way. So whenever we can get some type of advantage to just making it easier, we'll go for that. But like I was telling the guy here, and actually Dave was just telling him too, is it was windy. It was windy on his
Yeah.
trip, and the 400 gram jig was about the minimum. Anybody using anything less just wasn't staying vertical.
Yes.
Which you have to be for these tunas. So,
Right.
you got to kind of take everything.
All right, and we're going to get more into the bluefin.
Yeah.
We'll be answering questions, everything else. Let's go to the next topic, and that's the Pride yesterday. Limits of white sea bass.
Yeah.
Sky from Blacktail Hooks.
Yep.
And his girlfriend Izzy, who continually kicks his butt. Poor guy needs a psychiatrist, I think. You know, he's getting waxed by Izzy every single time. But she had a great time. Talked to Sean Roberts today a little bit, and man, I'll tell you, that guy, Sean Roberts and the Pride.
Yeah.
He's just one of those guys who's super fishy, but he's got a work ethic that's really good. He does his homework, and I think they've been one of the hottest boats on the coast for sea bass. They've been right up there.
For sure.
Yeah.
He's been the early boat to get them. When no one else was getting them, he was getting them.
Yep.
And he's been super consistent. And obviously, those guys up at Channel Islands, those guys, kind of hard to beat, as a group.
Yes.
But down here, he definitely is the guy, for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Speaking of the Channel Islands, we had our trip with Tucker McCombs. Driving to Ventura, I get a text from Brandon, the corpse, it's saying, hey, you probably know this, but Tucker had limits of white sea bass. And I was like, no, I didn't know that, actually. I'm driving, listening to whatever. And so we were sky high. We didn't find him. Man, he worked his fingers to the bone. And he and the crew on the Endeavor, what a fun bunch of guys. We had such a good time, Sam. Really fun. We ended up with catching rockfish, but we put a good 6 hours in just, looking hard, looking really hard, and having a good time because they put a heavy emphasis on the adventure.
Yeah.
The atmosphere, the vibe on the boat. And I loved every minute of that. So we had a good time up there.
It's the same thing, the sea bass has become kind of like a new mainstay, it isn't. Sea bass fishing is kind of like bluefin fishing. When they want to bite, it's wide open. We'll catch them on anything, 80-pound test. But when they don't want to bite, you can be right on top of them. You ain't going to catch them, So sea bass is kind of like that bluefin in a way, too, I think. Yeah.
Did you want to get into this food, by the way? Who was that gentleman that brought it in?
I don't know, who was it? Didn't you ask him his name?
Did I? I can't remember.
He's a good customer. He
nice gentleman. Thank you so much.
We
really
much.
Appreciate it. Really, really.
He said it was healthy.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
So we don't want that, do we? Yeah, I'm only kidding. All right, I'll let Sam rummage through that. Well, how about I go through a few questions here, and you can rummage through, and you're hungry probably. And if the kids are hungry, we can sell. Dan Smith, hello, Phil, Sam, and all you great Friedman Adventures family. Phil, Kim is making scrambled eggs. And Lap Cheong, wish we could send you some. I wish you could too. Turbo T, good evening. Friedman Adventures family, can't wait to see what's for dinner tonight. All right, I guess that's part of the show. SoCal Steve, what's up, guys? Christopher Bailey, good evening, gentlemen. Chris from Queen Creek, Arizona. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. Charles Zimmer, awesome set of guys on the Royal Star. He was out there, met Diego Nuno. What is that?
Oh, my gosh.
What is it? You better put it up there.
Oh, my gosh.
Wow.
If that's healthy, man, I don't know. I haven't eaten wrong here. Look, this is crazy good.
It looks good, man, right?
Some skewers, a little bit of salad. Yeah, that's pretty good stuff.
Oh, it's two of the same thing, right?
Yeah.
Can people see that at home? We want you to see what this gentleman brought us. Very nice. What cuisine is that?
I don't know.
Filipino, maybe, or
whatever it is. It looks freaking good.
All right, where's that there? Charles Zimmer loved meeting Diego Nuno.
Yeah.
And they ended up, I think they had one bluefin for a 3-day trip and rockfish. So you look at that and you think, boy, what a bummer.
Yeah,
he came back, wow, what a great trip, great guys, great crew. That's the attitude you have to have when you go on a fishing trip, Sam.
Yeah. And
really.
Chuck's been on the long range trips, and so I don't know if that was the first one on the Royal Star for him, but
I think it was.
That Royal Star group is super good, super strong. Those guys are in my opinion, top notch, and they've always done a good job with our trips. I've been fishing them with, seems like now 20 years, but great group of guys.
Yeah. And folks, if you go out on a trip and take the fish out of the equation, yeah, we all want to catch fish. That's really what we're after. But if you take that out and you just lower the bar a little bit and you're out there for the adventure and the friendships and the food and the camaraderie and like the food, you're going to have a great trip every single time you go. If you're going to go out there and say, I'm going to be miserable if we don't catch a bunch of fish, you're going to have an awful lot of bad trips.
Yep.
We're so blessed to be able to go out on this beautiful ocean of ours and see the dolphin. I mean, I hate to sound like, but see the dolphin and the whales and have fun with the guys and put sardines in Scott's boots and, all that stuff that makes a fishing trip fun, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, all right, very good. Matthew Dempster, good evening, fellas. Thanks for the show. I learn new things each week. Thank you so much, Matthew. Hoping to put it all to use at the end of the month on the Royal Star and Spirit of Adventure.
There you go.
2 really fine boats, man. That's going to be great. Matthew, wish you the best of luck. Tim Marquez, back from Laredo. Tim, thanks for keeping us up to date. I totally appreciated that. Tim's a great guy. He comes in here and shops a lot. I think I told you when we had that separating the clothing for Mexico thing.
Came down, yeah.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I got some news on that. So apparently the people that are taking the clothing to Cedros, wait till you hear this, they think we have too much, that they can't use it all. And there's so many poor people near Ensenada. So they asked me, can we do some Ensenada? And I said, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I said, can I come down and help with the handout, at least in Ensenada? Absolutely. So I'll offer that out to all of you too. Once I get a date, if you'd like to come down and be part of that, we can hand out clothing one morning and go fishing the next day or whatever. We'll definitely include you in on that. But that's how much stuff we send down there, man. It's just mind-boggling.
Well, you were telling us about that. That's crazy. Their house was full.
Jason Lawler, we did okay next to the Pride. Well, why don't you tell us what you did? We don't even know, Jason. He was on the Amigo, I'm guessing. It's a mystery here. He wants me to ask. Sniper Gene, hey guys, I'm going on the San Diego tomorrow morning. Any last-minute words of wisdom?
Fish hard. I know that fish is on its way, but we haven't really seen a whole lot of sign on the 3/4 day boat, but any day now.
Yeah. Gene, and the other thing is, Sam, it all comes down when you're fishing those kelp patty yellows, finding the right kelp. Yeah. So you got to be prepared to hit a kelp and be bored out of your mind, or hit a kelp and be bored out of your mind, and then bedlam. It goes crazy. And that's where you've got to be efficient. You got to get a fish on the boat, get another bait in the water, try to capitalize on that good kelp, make it happen, right?
Maybe even kind of like, make sure you're aware that there's going to be mixed-sized fish. Sometimes you see a couple small ones come over the rail. You think, screw it, I don't want to mess with this. Kind of stay with it. There's been some nicer fish mixed in.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. There's been some bigger great, and there's been a few ironfish also.
Yeah.
Not a lot, but mostly bait.
Yeah, mostly bait. Yeah.
Fluorocarbon. What would you go with? 25
pound. Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
It's kind of standard for kelp patty.
You're going to get bit better.
Right.
And guys that are trying to fish 40 might be a little heavy, right?
20-25 is what I'd go with.
All right. Scott Grant, who was on our Endeavor trip and is a super great guy. Endeavor and crew, top notch. Great trip. Thanks, Phil. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for being a star in our video also. Gerald Perilous came back from the New Loan and Liberty. Great crew from both boats. Yeah, all these guys, we're not catching a lot of fish right now, and everybody is talking positively about the experience, about being out on the water. You got Diego here, your son. We'll get him in here in a second. We got Michael, who wrote that essay and did really well. It's so good for kids. Right? It's so important for families to get out on the water and enjoy, and don't make it about catching fish. Enjoy it when it happens, but it doesn't have to be that way all the time. Trout, Tritons. Thank you guys so much. Love the show. Thank you so much for being with us. And Jason Lawler's back. 10 sea bass for 12 guys, almost limits on board the Amigo. Next trip is a day-and-a-half trip leaving Saturday. I will be either cooking or working the deck. Come fishing with me. And do you know Jason? Has he been in here before?
Yeah, he's been in here. Yeah, I was actually going to ask you right now. I forgot he's working on the boat now.
Yeah.
I don't know if you had any chance to kind of get some feedback from his experience there. I know he loves fishing. He's been on the boats and all that kind of stuff. But working the galley is a whole other thing.
Yeah, he's told me that this is it, man. He's fallen in love with it. He's really, really loving it. And I asked Mark Paisano Jr., who's running the boat. I go, hey, how's Jason? Is he good? Oh my God, he's so good. He's a great chef. I almost said cook, which is degrading, I think. Yeah. He's a great chef. He's really into fishing, and he's just like, the party starts right there with him.
He's a people person too. You know? It seems like he's got all the right ingredients for sure.
Yes.
And so you don't ever know until you go out there and do it whether it's going to be something you want to do. But it seems like to me he's doing it for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Jason, you can send that $100 over to Sam. We'll split it after all of that. All right, so bluefin tuna, and the other thing is on the white sea bass, they're going to have some weather up there in the Channel Islands. They had it, and it's been a little breezy up that way. the weekend looks gorgeous.
Okay.
And so we're coming off that moon, and I did some interviews with Tucker while we were out there. He likes that 3 days after the full moon, which we are there now, but we have the wind, so that kind of screws everything up. But I think we're going into a really good weekend up in the Channel Islands.
Yeah, well, sometimes that's all that needs to happen. It's kind of a few different pieces need to be put together. Maybe they find the fish, or they don't find the bait, or they find the bait but they don't find the fish or the weather.
Hey, you got somebody crawling in here. He thinks he's below the camera.
Trying to get some of that food.
I like that. What's up, Michael? This is the kid who wrote the essay and did so good. Michael, congratulations. He wrote an essay on yellowfin tuna, and you were second place in 8 districts, first place in your school. You went fishing with your grandpa. How was it today on the Monte Carlo?
It was slow, and
Honest kid. Slow.
a couple of people got 2 halibut. The
Oh, wow.
captain and some lady.
All right, it's 2 halibut on the Monte Carlo, and then any sculpin, rockfish?
No rockfish, but sculpin.
All right, very good. And Diego, we should get him in here.
What
Come
school do you
on,
go to?
Diego, Sam's son. Look at these 2 guys are fast friends. Sam, your son. You got to
Yeah.
be happy he's here with us
Awesome,
tonight.
man. I know he's been wanting to be on the show for a while. He watches us every time.
Oh, man, Diego, it's good to see you. Number 1, you too. You boys want something to eat? Keep your fingers off our food. No, I'm only kidding. All right, go play. And if we need you guys for something, we'll call you, right?
Yep.
Got it.
Thank you. So one thing Tucker said about if you want to be prepared for sea bass and halibut fishing in the Channel Islands, 90% of the time it's dropper loop.
Yep.
You agree? Yeah.
I'd say so,
You're not going to
yeah.
argue with Tucker.
No, for sure. You know, and sometimes too, it's maybe the places that he's fishing too. You know, it might be more conducive to that. I know we've been selling all these flukes, and people have been hot on that. You know, and looks like at times it works really, really good. But you can't beat a live bait, you know, especially a live squid. You know, so I mean, when guys are coming in and saying, "Well, oh, you have some of those flukes," and yeah, well, you got them, but I got to make sure that they have squid gear, squid catching gear,
Yeah.
and squid fishing gear. You know, so that's almost never going to beat a live squid for almost most species, I think.
Yeah.
So you want to make sure you're set up to be able to fish a squid, which is going to be you drop a loop fishing, which basically just a sinker, 4 to 8 ounce sinker, torpedo sinker, 5.0, call it 5.0 to 8.0 Aki twist hook.
Yep.
Maybe some egg sinkers from maybe I would say a ½ ounce up to about maybe an ounce. So it's pretty simple as well,
Yeah.
you know. But make sure you guys are taking that kind of stuff with you as well.
All right, very good. Sniper Gene, or athlete Jeff Yeomans, the 540 Slingers Club. Jeff, love you, man. He said they were able to get bit on 30-pound April 29th on the San Diego, so they were fly lining with 30-pound. Chuck Zimmer, president of the Redondo Rod and Gun Club. We should talk about our surf fishing tournament. By the way, we're trying to keep today's show to an hour and a half. Good luck. We'll see if we can pull that off. We're going to see if we can do it. It only leaves us another hour or so to go. But Chuck Zimmer, weird part about our trip was the yellows were not on the kelps. We hooked them chasing the bluefin. Yeah, there was a lot of free swimming,
Open water.
reminiscent of those Dorado last year, right?
And that's kind of a really good. That's kind of a good sign of
It is.
what's coming. You know, that yellowtail typically is stuck to structure and kelp patties, but sometimes that stuff just charges, you know, and is open water and looking to get to the next island. So maybe Catalina or something like that is going to be seeing some of that kind of stuff come through.
Yeah, absolutely.
Any day now.
But that's how this works, right? They
Right.
flood in on the kelps and then they move into the islands. Probably going to be a great yellow year.
I would think so. Hopefully, yeah.
And out on the bank, maybe Tanner Cortez.
It seems like it's always pretty good there as long as you can get there.
Yeah.
You know, the stuff seems to kind of follow all that way. It's usually how much of that inshore fish, you know, stuff on the horseshoe kelp, stuff, you know, down in Huntington, you know, PV, and maybe even at Catalina, where we kind of always think, well, we'll see how it goes. But hopefully that stuff comes and filters in like that.
Man, that would be great if we had that local yellowtail fishing again, right? That half-day forky fishing, man. There's nothing
Get
like
those
it.
guys their first yellowtail.
These
That'd
two
be awesome.
kids?
Yeah,
Yeah, wouldn't that be
freaking awesome.
something? Diego and Michael, man, I could just see them hooked up. That would be super great. Thank you, Jeff. John Doe. Let's see. Wait a minute. Yeah. Do you carry steadfast surface iron rods from Texas?
We don't. I have seen them
Have
here.
you heard of them?
Yeah. They're all glass. I think out in Texas they're using them primarily for surf fishing for those redfish and stuff like that. Even up to I think some of the bull sharks that they catch over there. So they have, it's a whole line of rods that they have. They're probably the closest to a Harnell. You know, real slow, real heavy. I think that, you know, part of it is that Harnell mystique is kind of like the old True Lines and things like that, where people want to capture some of that nostalgia. But I will tell you, those things are super heavy. And if you get the right one, the right model, they do cast real good.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. I think they had one of those at that casting contest that day that we did at the park.
Yeah.
They do. They cast really, really good. But on the other hand, too, they're not the best fish fighting machines either. But they're pretty cool. They're kind of a niche thing. They're out of Texas. It's basically surf rods the guys are using as jig rods. Yeah.
Remember at the casting contest how pissed some of the guys were that the spinning reel guy won?
A few guys.
Couple guys.
Yeah, a couple guys. Yeah.
But I mean, it just proves that spinning reels are a thing for some people.
Yeah, but so part of it too is that I think the way that the jig rods were set up, a couple things happened. First is those jig rods were being used for an hour or two prior, showing guys how to cast. So the line might have had some kinks in it and things like that. So it wasn't really like fresh, Whereas the spinning reel that was brought in, and not to make any excuses, but it was brought in with really light braid.
Right.
That was made to cast real far. So it was almost like set up a little differently. If it would have had 40-pound mono, like most of our reels had, I don't think he would have got the same distance.
Right.
So
he came to win, right?
Well, yeah, he came to win that part of it.
Yeah.
Although that wasn't really the focus of what we were trying to do. We were trying to get people, educated on casting a jig.
Yeah.
And if we would have, brought in some of those like we would have said, okay, this is my contest rod, and then this is my educational rod. I think we may have had a few, maybe different results, but we didn't think about it at the moment, So I think maybe it was more that just guys were feeling like, oh man, this guy just came in to win everybody instead of trying to show anybody, because I don't think that rod got used at all otherwise to show anybody.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So it was kind of a different deal,
Yeah.
Hey.
What? You're gonna like it, I think.
Pretty good.
Yeah, right?
Pretty good.
Thanks again to the gentleman who stopped by. So nice of him to do it. All right.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and John Doe asks, are steadfast rods close to Harnell's?
Harnell's, yeah.
All right, and Sniper Gene and Jeff Yeoman's going back on fly line sardines. Yes, down there on the San Diego. Dan Smith says, way to go, Chef Jason. Nate, evening, Sam and Phil. Question, how should I spool a new Talica 25, if I already have a 100-pound setup for jigging and trolling? All fluoro or Top Shop, and what brand braid do you recommend? Thank you.
Well, it depends on your 100-pound setup. If it's bigger than the Talica 25, I would probably set that up with 100-pound braid and maybe some 80-pound Top Shop. If your 100-pound setup is smaller than your 25, let's say you got a Talica 20.
Yeah.
Then I'd probably put 130 on it and maybe 100-pound Top Shot, or maybe 130-pound Top Shot. But it sounds to me like that Talica 25 might be a replica or a same thing that you got going on with your 100-pound setup. So if you want to maybe respond and let me know what it is you have for your 100-pound setup and how it compares to your 25, and maybe I could better answer that question.
All right, that meat is really good too.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Israel de la Cruz, I have steadfast blank that was never built. Lipper the Fisherman, hey, how's it going, guys? Started early tonight. Well, we've been starting at 6, right?
I think we started late.
I think we did. All right, Naughty Boy 78, any word on the Mag 12 Morro Bay Land of the Giants trip? Wondering what KJ and company caught. Yeah, I saw their trip. They had limits of reds by 8 in the morning.
Shoo.
Yeah, just great fishing up there. I think they were on the Black Pearl.
Morro Bay?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's great up there, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Because there's just no pressure up there, really.
Yeah. And it's all that cold water. It's kind of like tailor-made for
It really
for
is.
his kind of fishing, yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
They had great fishing on that trip, and KJ sent me a bunch of photos. I put some up on the morning briefing, and just great stuff. By the way, thanks to everybody who's tuning in the morning briefing. We're getting thousands of people watching, which is living proof that people have no taste. They're watching me at 5 in the morning.
5 in the morning.
I'm wandering out there with my camera, and some people are looking at me like, what are you doing,
What's
man?
that doing, yeah. Little do they know.
I know, exactly. I even have the people that live over there now that are not into fishing. They're photobombing behind me, and then they're putting a comment saying, hey, that was me. I saw myself on the show. So it's pretty funny. All right. Let's see. Charles Zimmer. A friend is getting rid of his Shimano Tiagra 30. Not new. Last model. Honest opinion.
It's a great reel. You know, it's the Tiagra line of reels is a larger kind of overall package that they make, that they've been making for 50 years or something like that. Same as the internationals, although they haven't changed them. You know, internationals have come a long way in the last 50 years. They haven't changed those Tiagras. In my opinion, that Tiagra is probably best suited on a long range boat where you're maybe fly lining for some, bigger fish, and you just want some heavier line for a heavier reel. There's a lot of reels out there that are a lot lighter and a lot smaller for the same size line capacity, but you're not going to find something that's a whole lot tougher. Those Tiagras are bulletproof, tough reels, but to be honest with you, they are a little bit on the heavy side for stand-up, like, party boat fishing. So unless you're planning to go check on another long trip, and maybe you might want another heavy outfit, that's where that reel would come into play.
All right. Very good. Hey, where's Michael's grandpa? Did he?
It's right there,
Oh.
sleeping, I think.
Oh, he's not listening to us, is he? Thanks, Dan. We appreciate. Oh, he's watching it on his phone over there. You can watch it live if you just sit right there. You don't have to watch it on your phone. Oh, okay. All right. You can see him right up here too, but whatever. All right, naughty boy. Gerald Perilous. For mono, what's the minimum size that you could use crimps on? V's. Versus using a knot. 80 or 100 pound. Planning a crimp, a welded ring at the end of your top shot to exchange jigs quickly. Thank you.
Well, the minimum probably going to be like, I'd say 60 pound, but for what you're trying to do as far as changing your jigs out, if it's going to be for this big tuna, I'd probably say you're going to want 100 or 130. Probably wouldn't use 60 pound, but you should be able to crimp 80 pound, no problem. Although I think 100 pound would probably be where you want to be with most of this stuff, unless you're looking at some of this lighter weight, Zacanas or the Colt Snipers. Although with that, you want to be as stealthy as possible, so you're going to probably want to straight tie some fluorocarbon 80 pound or 60 pound. But as far as that crimp's concerned, setting it up for a quick change, nighttime tuna stuff, I probably would look at 100 or 130 pound as just for the size of line you want to have on the end of your line.
All right, thanks for all the great questions so far. Thanks for being here tonight. We deeply appreciate it. Sam is going to take a bite of something while I remind you all that the morning briefing will be on tomorrow morning. We'll have that for you. And, of course, don't forget to follow us on Facebook, on TikTok, and Instagram. We are there for you every day. The Tops, good evening, enjoying the show. What new tackle bags, boxes do you like, Sam? My Albacore backpack bag is getting another year older. Anything cool out there?
Well,
We just moved a whole bunch of like 500 Daiwa bags, right?
Daiwa's got some cool stuff. I just ordered some stuff from AFCO, and they have some front loaders. I'm not sure which Albacore bag he has, but Albacore was kind of known for having a small, medium, front-loading tackle bag. They were one of the first companies to have that.
Right.
Pretty cool bag. A couple other companies have made them since then, but they kind of come and go. Shimano had a real nice one, but they've discontinued it. The AFCO one is probably the closest one to that. But, there's a lot of good bags out there. If you still have your Albacore bag, I will tell you this, that I don't think any of the new bags will last that long, because those Albacores, they haven't made them in like 15 years.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know if you're going to find something that's going to last that long anymore. Those Albacore bags are really nice. But that being said, they're nice as far as being organized. The bags these days, they cost a little bit more than they used to. They're probably 80 to 150 bucks, something like that. But one of the things, too, if you have a larger bag, is maybe looking into a roller bag. I know we were rolling some of those over there
right.
A little bit ago. And that's one thing that's new, although I will say that they hold so much gear that for some people, it's almost like it holds too much gear.
Yeah.
So, you want to come and check them out. We have a lot of bags here, as you know, and we'll show you the different things. Bring in your old Albacore bag, and we can kind of maybe see what will transfer from your old bag to your new bag, so that you don't have to really get something that's totally different.
Yeah. Hey, there's
Kind of paused for a
there's
little
some
bit.
guy behind us with a weird mustache. Who is that guy, man? Yeah,
Is eyeballing your
might
food.
be. It's your Wi-Fi, man. It's your fault. Hey, is SKB? Is that still a thing? SKB tackle boxes?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I used to be good friends with Dave Sanderson, the guy that owns the thing. I haven't seen him for a long time. Do you still have those? Or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
still a thing. God, they're indestructible, aren't they?
Yeah, so those are rotomolded plastic boxes. They're a little bit on the larger side and really kind of well known on the long range circuit. A lot of the guys who do long range fishing, they like those. Those those boxes are lifetime warranty. I mean, you get into some rough seas, that thing falls over, it will not break. I mean, those things are super tough. They don't hold as much tackle for the size of that it takes up, but that's because it's super tough and super thick, you know. So it's the kind of box that if you wanted a lifetime box, well, that'd be it right there. It just doesn't hold as much. So once again, if you bring in your tackle bag that you already have, we can kind of see what would be an appropriate transfer. But yeah, those SKBs, and they make a tackle backpack as well.
Oh, they do?
Yeah, that holds a lot of tackle. So there's a few different options out there.
Dave was always very generous whenever we were doing fundraising or anything else. He's a cool guy.
Okay,
I don't
cool.
even know if he's with them. I mean, he may have turned it over to his kids or
Right,
something
right.
like that. 1911, Nate at the International 20 on a UC Viper with 100-pound braid and room for a top shot for 100 to 130-pound mono. Should I transfer the braid to the Talica and respool the International with heavier line? That is a deep question.
Yeah, so he's the one that asked about that Talica 25 earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wouldn't be a bad move. Although, depending on what kind of 100-pound braid you have, if it's metered or not. So, here you're asking me a question, I ask him a question back here. But I would say that
Look, we're going to go to my microphone.
whatever reel you're going to use for dropping a jig, I would definitely use meter line. So, if you're planning to maybe take that reel, that Talica 25, and just use it as a fly line or something like that, maybe that'd be a good move to transfer that 100-pound to it, and then we could put some meter line on your International 20. But that's another thing too, is whatever reel you think you're going to do the most jigging with, which I think you mentioned earlier that you're jigging more with that other reel that you already have. Maybe it'd be a good move to put some 130-pound Power Pro offshore, which is changes color every 100 feet. So that might be the way to go.
Sounds good to me. Ricky Hanada, what rail rod would you pair with a Makira 20 and 30 with 130-pound braid, 2.75-day bluefin tuna trip on the Cortez with Rambo
There
in
you
July? Thank you for what you do. Good luck on that trick, Ricky. Hope you get them with Jim.
Yeah. So on that reel, I'd probably recommend anything that's rated to where the range of rating is above 100. So some of them will end at 120, some will end at 130, some will end at 150, and something that the lower rating starts at under 100. So usually those rods will be a 60 to 130, 80 to 130, or something in that range. As far as specific models, you're looking at maybe a CalStar 2XH, whether it be a 770 or 7470 or 775 or even a 780, but in a 2XH is the one that I would recommend. In the United Composites, you're looking at a Viper, pretty easy, 7-foot or 7.5-foot Viper. Seeker, you're looking at a 2x4, and in other models that we were checking out the Taipan rod the other day, they make I think it's a 3X, which is a 60 to 130. And so on. There's Phoenix has them as well, 60 to 130s. Anything in that 60 to 130, 80 to 130 range is what I would be looking at.
Dan Lightfoot is starving behind us, so I've been passing him food. I don't know if you've been noticing,
I didn't
but
notice.
I've been trying to take care of the poor guy.
Keep them alive, man.
Trying to downsize, like
This stuff is good, man. What's that?
You gotta figure out where that came from.
Downsize, like me, I'm an older guy and I don't like to carry a bunch of weights, so I carry 2 or 3 jigs and
Okay.
hooks and weights. Do you have anything like little like that?
Definitely have a lot of smaller bags. Dan was asking us if we had any smaller tackle boxes, and that's kind of what I was getting at
Yeah.
as far as trying to figure out what the guy was asking.
Yeah.
What size bag does he have? Because if he's
He might
used
come
to,
back.
Yeah, if he's used to carrying a lot of stuff, then he's going to need a big bag.
Mm-hmm.
But if he has a smaller bag, which is that old medium-sized bag from Albacore, then there's a lot of choices there. But I know Daiwa, the ones we were moving, there was a smaller one of those that's pretty good. But those aft goes, to me, I feel like if it's the bag I'm thinking about from Abacore, that AFCO one might be the one. I just ordered them today, so I'm sure I'll get them this week. It's a really nice bag. They have one thing that's called a 70, a 35, a 36, and a 37. Those are the three models. And they also make a backpack as well. And you know those backpacks too, even though we sell them moderately, I would say, I still feel like those are the best solution for our local, sport boat fishing. The reason I think they are is that when you drive to the landing, you're going to get off the car. You want to be able to get down with all your tackle.
Yeah.
So you got your backpack, and you got your rods. And nowadays, if you're going to go on an overnight boat or a multi-day trip, you got to carry your bedding with you too, right?
Yeah, I know. I don't bring anything.
So
That's me.
Yeah. So if you're going to carry your own bedding, you almost need another duffel bag.
Yeah,
So
I know.
if you got a tackle bag and your rods and another bag, it might be tough. So that tackle backpack, and some of them they make them with a real large open section on top.
Yeah.
That you might be able to carry your bedding in there. So to me, that backpack, just because you want to carry everything all at once and not leave tackle in your car, especially if you got to park real far, is probably the best solution. That I see being a new thing for our industry. Not really new. I mean, they've been around for a while, backpacks, but to me, I feel like that's maybe if you're going from that old style, tackle bag, you might want to try a backpack out.
Yeah, it works really, really well. You should
Yeah.
try some more
I'm
of that,
going
man.
on
I'll
it.
ask another question, but it's good stuff. I thought I heard somebody coming in. Oh, you need a napkin now. This guy's a pain in the neck, What am I, the waiter tonight? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I guess I am. All right. Nate says, thanks for the info. Martin M. Sam, what's the difference between Iserline XXX copolymer and Iserline Platinum copolymer? Mm-hmm. Did I pronounce that right? Mm-hmm. I did? Amazing. Now he's got the damn bells ringing during our show. Mm-hmm. I thought the kids were going to drive us nuts. This guy's behind me. What's going on here?
So I think the Platinum, which I don't know if they make anymore, honestly. I'd have to fact check that. I'm not really sure, but that was something that they made. From my understanding, from what I remember talking to Wendy, was that it was kind of more of an inshore or freshwater bass, a series of line that they made in the smaller sizes, from what I remember. And it had a little bit higher abrasion resistance, whereas the Triple X copolymer, which is probably the most popular line we sell at least for Top Shots and stuff, it's a real supple, real soft line. It has just the right amount of stretch. And for a lot of the guys that are avid jig casters, that Triple X is by far the favorite. It casts real good, has good knot strength, and it just has the right amount of stretch to be forgiving. So I think that older line didn't have as much stretch. The newer line has just enough, and it's just a lot softer. So, besides that, I don't have the scientific difference of what they are, but to me, I think that that Platinum, I don't know if they even make that much of it anymore. That I would go with the Triple X.
It dawned on me just right now that you're not running around tonight at all. What's going on? Nobody's asking you to do it.
Who's holding me here? Yeah.
Yeah, right? Once again, thanks to the gentleman who came by. It was very nice.
He was right. This is good, man.
It's really good, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Charles Zimmer's about to start dinner. No, Charles, you can't start dinner until after the show.
It's here.
Yeah, it's already here. What are you talking about, man? Patrick Maloney, a good Irish lad, I'm sure. Thanks for the solid advice, Sam, on Penn Slammer 7500. I went with 80-pound hollow. I trust my splice. First few casts, 60 gram feed popper, about 80 yards. You're right there to help me. 150 gram Mad Scad, well over 130 yards on an 8-foot Proteus.
Cool, Patrick. Yeah, he coming in, and we were kind of going back and forth on line selection and rod selection for that reel, and I'm glad it worked out, man. That's pretty good.
You know what's funny
ready.
about your store? I mean, I got a taste of this today, and I wasn't in the store. But I pulled up, and there's no parking in front, and I want to park my car in front. Mm-hmm. So I went over to the auto thing, and I can work on my phone. I can edit.
Yeah.
Like, it took an hour and a half before one guy I mean, when people come here, they camp out for a while, don't they?
Well, they want to get the help, and obviously from the show you can see my answers aren't always one-word answers. I want to kind of really dive deep into what they're trying to get into and look at all the different sides to it and make sure that we give them the best answer. So that's what we're all about. So sometimes it's not that they stay here; I hold them in here with just talking to them for a long time.
Right. All right. Gilbert Ibanez wanted to thank Sam for helping me out last Friday, picking up knife jigs, and a Tranx 500. What is better, 80-pound reel Talica 20 or is a Talica 12 okay?
20. You definitely, if you're going to be going for big fish, that 20 size is what you want to have. It's really more about line capacity. You're just not going to hold enough line, a big line on that Talica 20. Right now, with the fish that they've been catching, you can probably stretch that Talica 12 and make it work. But eventually, you're going to want a 20. And there's been enough big fish caught already that it's part of the equation. So, you want to have a reel that just holds enough big line to be able to stop a big fish.
Perfect. Gilbert, thanks for being here. Great question. Love it. Turbo T2. Still have my albacore bag. Excellent design and size, bomb-proof, and still in perfect shape after all these years. Why didn't somebody do that same design again? And, it really is like everybody loves those things, right?
Yeah, a lot of it, too, is just a matter of, and I don't make bags, so I couldn't tell you exactly what's going on. But to my understanding from talking to the manufacturers, the reps, is that it's just gotten really expensive. It's gotten really expensive to make the bags, and from what I understand, making a bag of that caliber now would probably put that bag in the $200-300 range.
Oh,
and
yeah.
so
It's just priced out.
it's just priced out. Yeah. I mean, I'm sure that there's different solutions, different places to make it, things like that, and maybe other options for those guys to explore. But it just doesn't seem like it's able to happen. And you got to remember too, when the stuff gets shipped over, they're shipping pretty much air. So the cost per item to ship in a container is so high.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
it's just air.
Yeah.
And so that's another thing too that's kind of made it tough to make those anymore.
Yeah. When's the last time you were out fishing?
Last time I was out fishing was,
I know, really,
I guess
right?
November. Yeah, my 11 day. I feel like I went out after that, but maybe it might have been.
When's
that.
the next time you're going?
I don't know.
I know. Now the season starts. It gets way too crazy.
It's so
doesn't
hard.
It?
Yeah.
It is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although I'm going to start doing. We have a few sponsors coming on, so I'm going to, that's part of the deal. I go jump on their boat when they have a hot bite. I get great content. They get blasted all over catching bitchin' fish. And so I guess, I call it going fishing, even though I don't fish.
Yeah.
And guys were saying to me on that trip on the Endeavor, hey, are you going to catch a fish? I go, hey, if you guys all limit on sea bass,
I'll get one.
I'll grab a rod and I'll definitely get one. But
Yeah.
my thing is I want to get you catching your fish on video. So I'm such a nice guy, Yeah. Lipper the Fisherman. Here's a question about old school reel that has lots of nostalgia to it. An International 12 single speed, and I'm wondering what rod would you put it with for today's sport fishing boats?
So that reel there probably fish 30 or 40 pound test, International 12. It's a old one, unless it's been modified by Cal Sheets or something like that. But something like that, fish 30 or 40, probably a 6480 would be a good rod for it. You'd have to kind of see whether or not you have the clamp for that thing, how it would work there. But I would look at something rated 20 to 50, 30 to 60 is probably in the range that I would look at, 7 to 8 foot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, go ahead. Take a little bite. I'm going to do an ad for the Redondo Rod and Gun Club Surf Fishing Tournament coming up on the 20th and 21st of this month, which is May, right? Yes, my wife's birthday is May 19th. So that will be May 20th and 21st. You can sign up in any one of 4 locations. So you can sign up right here at Island Fishing Tackle. Sam says he'll be here at 5. I'm going for 5:30, maybe. But he'll be here at 5 a.m. Big Fish Bait and Tackle in Seal Beach, 5 a.m. You need to show up that morning or afternoon, because you have 2 days to fish. But the reason you have to show up is because you're going to get some stuff. You're going to get a ruler and some other stuff to help you along in your quest to win the tournament or just to have fun, and then to show up at the banquet at the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club. So here at Island Fishing Tackle, Big Fish Bait and Tackle, 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro, and then also at the Redondo Rod and Gun Club, 5 a.m. Saturday morning. You'll be able to get all the stuff you need. It's $20, and then you get a great lunch. Are you in a raffle? I can't remember.
They're going to have raffles there, I thought.
Yeah,
sure.
They're going to have raffles. I don't know if you're in it or you have to buy a ticket, but they're going to have, Chuck loaded up on the rockfish on the Royal Star. Fish tacos, baby. Yeesh. There's nothing better than...
Yeah, rockfish, fish tacos.
Yeah, so it's going to be great. So if you want more information on that, you can go to www redondorodandgunclub.com. And, you know, if you just show up, you can just show up to the banquet also. I'd love to see you there. And mixed into that is the CCA event. That's Saturday afternoon. So, I mean, you could fish in the morning, go to the CCA event, then fish Sunday morning, and then go to the banquet Sunday evening, right? You want to talk a little bit about the CCA event?
Yeah. You know, it's going to be happening May 20th, which is next Saturday. So you got about 2 weeks. And it's going to be at the Compton Rod and Gun Club. It's it's going to be from 11 to 3 o'clock. And, you know, it's shaping up to be a huge, great event. We got a bunch of cool giveaways lined up that are, actually, I just got one the other day that, you know, I posted it up when I got it just to tease it out there. And guys were going crazy. This is a limited, very limited item from United Composites.
Wow, that's beautiful.
So this is a rod that, for the guys that know, it's a Blue Reaper. So what that means is it's a rod that was basically available a few years back when Randy first came up with this model. It's a 9-foot jig stick. Well, they had to change the name, and so now they still make the same rod, but it's called a 9E. They make it, and it's kind of a you know, that carbon graphite type color. Well, this was a limited run of blanks that they made.
Yeah.
For that time. Well, you know, when they came out with it, I thought it was a cool looking blank, so I just kind of kept it. You know, I just held on to it. Thought, you know, one day I'll do something cool with it. Well, the opportunities come with CCA. We're gonna have this as one of the raffles. So
That's a beautiful rod.
I donated the blank to Randy to be able to build it up. So Randy, actually, they built it there at the factory. So this is a factory wrapped, factory built, factory warranted, brand new rod from them, is with the SIC guides, the whole deal, exactly as they would have built it if this was available anymore. So this is a very, very unique item, and these are the kind of things that we want to bring to the event, is things that guys go crazy over.
Yeah, right.
You know, guys that are collectors, guys that just want something super cool. This is one of them here. He's also building, I think he told me this morning, 3 other rods. I think they're rail rods that he's going to be donating. And they're also, not only are they rail rods, it isn't just like he grabbed something out of the bin and said, oh, well, take these right here.
Yeah.
He's building they're special. They've never been built before.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so they're one of a kind items and stuff that you'll only be able to get there.
That is awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah.
CalStar's doing some stuff too. I talked to them this morning. I know I was talking to you about.
We're going to go out and do some
film
promo. Some stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're going to have some very unique stuff as well. I give them one of my black and tan GFT 100J mags, which is a 10-foot jig stick that is exclusive to our store. They're going to build that up. That's never been built as a factory rod, so you're going to be able to bid on that. So, you know, we just want to bring some cool stuff and get people excited about CCA. And that's coming up. I think we'll post a link later on to the event. In fact, I'll try to do it here.
Yeah, I'll put it in the chat.
In the chat there, yeah.
Try
So you
that
guys
later.
can go there. You can actually register online for the event and buy a ticket, or you can buy a table. So if you got a couple buddies, or maybe if you got guys from a fishing club or whatever it is, and you guys just kind of want to have your own table, they'll offer that as well. But you can buy a single ticket as well, just for yourself.
That's great. That's going to be a fun weekend. So you got the surf fishing derby, and then wrapped up in that is the CCA event, which is really important and really fun at the same time.
Yeah.
And then the banquet after that, and Michael is going to be eating fish tacos at that. I know that. All right, let's get back to some great questions. Nate says, that sounds like I'll be visiting you this week, Sam. Thanks again, Sam and Phil. Always learning from you. Thank you so much, Nate. And then we have Joel Lopez. Where did that go? Hold on, folks. Oh, here we are. Joel Lopez. Good dock or spot on the water to practice casting jigs, breaking in some new gear.
I think that's going to be down where those guys do the 540 slingers,
Yeah.
do that down there at Marine Stadium.
Yes.
Seems like those guys have a good time over there when they do it, and it looks like it's pretty safe, and you have a lot of open water.
Cool Granddaddy. Phil's spitting out questions, hoping Sam takes a while answering so he can keep munching. That was supposed to be our secret, Cool Granddaddy. You're so right. All right, Naughty Boy 78. Does Island Tackle carry any heavy spinning rods, tuna size?
Definitely, definitely. We have some stuff from Shimano, from Daiwa. We have some stuff from Black Hole. I think that I need to put in another order for those actually too. Phoenix, they make some heavy rods as well. You know, pretty much as heavy as you can hold on to type of rods. But yeah, we do have them.
All right, over 100 people watching the show. Sam, congratulations. 32 likes. Hit that like button, please. We really appreciate it. We've been going 50 minutes, which means we only have like 40 more minutes to go. At least that's the plan tonight. We're only going an hour and a half. We'll see how that all works out. All right, Chewy. Post above is about albacore prediction. Maybe it'll get Phil going again. Oh, the albacore. Where did I skip over something about albacore? Albacore are coming this year. There's no question about it. I guarantee albacore this year. The water's too cold. However, I got, Bradley Phillips, he used to run the first string. He's down in Mexico now doing a thing. And he sent me this long, and I'm just going from memory now, but he goes, Phil, you're not taking into consideration the chlorophyll and the fact that albacore like that super clean water. And he said, that's in doubt right now. I'm not sure. So he throws a monkey wrench into the whole thing. Brad knows way more than I know.
I was going to say.
I'll defer to all these guys and see any of those guys know more than I know. But, I mean, looking at the water temps and the bait and all that, that looks good. If Brad's got a point there, we'll see, man, how this all plays out.
Yeah.
And those things are, they change constantly. So that water could clean up. But you know as well as I, Sam, man, you can see down 40 feet when your albacore is going through with the wings out. Yeah. It's
deep
always
color.
that really cool. Yeah.
Deep color,
It is so cool. So you got me going on albacore again. David says, stop the presses. Just got off. Uh-oh.
You stopped them.
I know. Yeah, I stopped the presses. That's what you said. Hold on. I'm almost there. Here we are. No, I'm not. Stop the presses. Just got off a PM half-day boat, and the calicos were fired up.
Oh, that's cool.
I know the new Seaford yesterday had great. I don't know, but the new Seaford had great calico bass fishing yesterday. David, come on, man. What do you mean stop the presses? Where? Everybody wants to know. There's some good bass fishing starting to take place. You get that water up over 60 degrees, and man, those big fish will start to bite. When you get up to 65, they bite even better. Ken W. Albacore are never coming back again. Deal with it. Ken, you're rotten. All right. Chewy, Sam, do you carry deck boots in women's size 6 or men's 5? I'm wanting to get a pair for my lovely princesa, wife, esposa.
We do have the men's in
Marida.
5. The 12-inch, which is a standard, old school taller boot. We do have those in 5.
Slim and Sammy. Hello, Phil and Sam. I have a Fathom 225 in 2-speed. What pound outfit? Should I fish it with Great Show? He's talking to me when he says Great Show.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So, what should I to fish with? What does it say? Okay, as a 2-speed, what pound outfit should I fish it? Well, that's typically going to be something you're going to fish 30 to 40 pound test. And, it's going to be for that medium tuna, medium to larger yellowtail. But 25 to 40 is kind of its range, but does really good at 40 pound test. You could fish yo-yo with it. You could fish live bait with it. You could throw jigs with it. It's a pretty versatile outfit. It's kind of right in the middle of all your tackle.
Jack Machado has a great question. Jack, good to have you here. Thanks for joining us. Are there any new style knife jig rods that have a bigger upper grip to lay on the rail, much like a rail rod?
Nothing in the factory built stuff. I know that pretty much all the guys who are building custom rods are building them that way with a longer foregrip. So you're probably going to have to go to a custom rod. I know that Darren over there at 310 Rodworks, 310 Rodworks in Gardena, he built some rods for the shows, and I don't know if he sold out of them or not. I would imagine he probably has by now, but I know he's been building some rods to accommodate exactly what you're talking about. Having something that you can kind of use on the rail. Definitely doesn't have the same leverage that you do with the actual rail rod. You're not going to be able to lean on it to apply extra pressure, but you can lay it on the rail just to kind of take a rest. So you're probably gonna have to go to a custom rod for that.
Thanks for the question, Jack. Good job. John Cazares. John, great to see you. Great stuff, guys. I'm interested in a Tranx 500, but I'm confused about the two versions. I believe there's one for speed and one for power. What application would you use? Which one would you choose?
So typically that high speed one is going to be one that you're going to use for any kind of lure fishing. Anything where you may want to speed up a lure to a certain speed to be able to make it have action. The power gear is going to be something that you can kind of still use for some lures, but may not be able to work some lures as well as the high gear one. And if you're going to be casting a bait or maybe bottom fishing, that power gear is going to be what you want to have.
All right, very good. Let's see. Andrew Carrington, D-O-W, what's that?
I'm not sure.
I'm not either. All right, thank you, Andrew. Joel Lopez, do you know about the Penn Fathom 8XN? Nobody really knows this reel. I have one. It's like a Trinidad 12A size, but has 30-pound drag, super narrow, lightweight, and cheap. Don't know why people sleep on it.
It's a small reel. You know, even the Trinidad 12 is not that popular either. But yeah, I mean, we sell them pretty good. You know, it's probably larger in body size than other reels that have that same type of capacity. You know, Daiwa makes the same reel in their 15 size Fathom, 15 size Saltiga, and Shimano make that Trinidad 12, which is also very popular for the guys who want a smaller reel. So that maybe the reason is that the 8 has a little bit kind of fatter side plates that makes the reel feel a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can go grab one.
Okay, very good. While you do, Joel Lopez caught Dorados with that reel. Sam, it's about time you got up and ran and got something. Scott Buchert is on here. I have a bet with Scott Buchert tonight. I have the Boston Celtics, and Scott is rubbing it in right now. He says the 76ers are leading the Boston Celtics 113-92 with 3 minutes left. That doesn't look too good for me, Buchert. What do you think you're doing to me? I don't like that, man. All right. Who did? The 76ers? Oh, okay. I lost. Charles Zimmer. Matt invited, Charles Zimmer, I thought you were doing dinner. Matt invited me down to Hoff's Hut for the Southwest Anglers Club to talk about the tournament. I'll be there around 6 tomorrow if anyone has any questions. So, once again, back to our surf fishing tournament that is going to be May 20th and 21st. Chuck Zimmer, the president of the Redondo Rod and Gun Club, will be over at the South Bay meeting place, which is Hoff's Hut in Torrance, California. He'll be there at 6, answer all your questions, help you with the sign-ups. Once again, you can sign up here, Big Fish Bait and Tackle, 22nd Street Landing, or the Redondo Beach Rod and Gun Club. Sam, take it away.
All right. So here are those kind of those small reels he's talking about. You know, after picking them up, actually, they're pretty dang similar. But so here's the 8XN that he's talking about. It's a super small reel. You know, this is the 15, which is actually feels like it's a little bit bigger, but pretty close. And then here's the 12 Trinidad here. You know, so one of the reasons maybe that people don't buy these reels as much is that, you know, the application is a little bit less. You know, a lot of times when guys buy a reel, they want to buy something they can use for 2 or 3 different scenarios. You know, either they hold enough line to do this, and then they're strong enough to do that kind of thing. So that might be a good reason as to why someone wouldn't choose this size reel as much. But this is the reel he's talking about. I don't know what you think about it. It's pretty cool size, small size.
Yeah, it's kind of bitching, huh?
Yeah, you put maybe some 30 or 40 pound braid on there, and you'd probably be able to still catch probably 80% of the fish that we catch, you know, in a half day or 3/4 day.
Yellowtail?
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, right?
The drag isn't the issue. I think all the reels have enough drag.
I think it's
you know?
actually kind of cool.
Yeah. I don't think any of the reels are lacking in the drag capacity. It's going to be really more line capacity. Line capacity, yeah. So I think that, you know, if that's of a concern, then that's probably the reason. You want to have something that is a little more versatile.
You could catch small grade tuna with that, right?
Yeah,
18, 25, 30 pound.
30, 40 pound tuna wouldn't be a problem. Yeah, it wouldn't spoil you, yeah. So, yeah, using the right situation. The one thing that you do have to have is you have to have a rod that has a reel seat, because none of these have a clamp. But I'm sure all you guys have something like that.
All right.
Pretty cool.
Do you think that I can eliminate Scott Buchert for answering any questions since he beat me in that bet?
Oh, did he beat you?
Yeah, he beat me.
Man,
The 76ers won, but we got
He's one of our best guests, though.
Yeah, he is.
He is, yeah.
He's got Denver in the next game, I think. So
Denver, oh, screw that guy.
Yeah, I could be. I could. Oh, I'll eliminate him then.
Yeah,
Thank you. All right. Let's see. Joel Lopez, what are you looking for when you're casting jigs? What's a perfect cast look like?
Me? Commercial.
You're gonna show or what? Oh, you got a mouthful of food. Well, I don't. I mean, I've seen a lot of guys. I still go back to my buddy Howard Warbays, who was a deckhand on the Redondo Special when I was 12 years old, and he used to just, Sam, he'd swing that jig like it would go like this, and then right at the right time, he'd fire that thing, man. And he was so good fishing that pep jig. And guys like Del Ingram, I don't know if you knew those guys, and Ray Greenwood, just back in the 70s, man. And yeah, he was just an outstanding jig fisherman, man. I learned a lot from him on how to fish the iron. Love fishing the iron. So I don't know, what does the perfect cast look like?
Well, as far as the actual, just the motion of casting,
Yeah,
one of the things that you have to kind of really be aware of is your surroundings.
absolutely.
You
mean so you don't injure somebody?
So you don't
or
injure somebody.
Get snagged on
Yeah, so you don't hit something on the way out. Hit a trash can on the side of the bait tank.
braille.
Yeah, so all kind of stuff, right? So being very, very aware of where you're at, is one thing. Also being able to adjust your cast. When everything's open behind you, everyone's in the galley, you're the only one out there, and you got all the room in the world, then what you're describing is perfect. You got a lot of pendulum action going. And depending on the rod, you may have more or less because some rods load different than others. So that's a question that really has a lot of qualifiers depending on what you're using, what kind of rod, what kind of reel, that kind of thing, even what kind of jig possibly. A heavier jig is going to load different than a lighter jig. But in my opinion, what I'm looking for really is going to be activity on the water. Either birds looking, maybe I see baits, jumping out of the water or something like that. So something that to me signifies that there's a yellowtail in the area.
And where to make your cast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes
and it can be as subtle as a bird dipping.
Anything.
Yeah.
You got to imagine anything that makes the water move is going to be something under the water, typically, except for wind or something like that.
Yeah.
But so you want to really be aware and really be vigilant as far as keeping your eye out there. Now, once you kind of located a target, now you got to look behind you, and now all your focus is making as hard a cast as you can and being as safe as you can. So even though we all want to have everything, the whole boat open to ourselves, you have to be aware. And a lot of times, you really can't cast back there in the stern. You got bait fishermen back there. So you got to be extra aware and making sure that you're making a good cast. So I hope that answers the question. I'm not really sure that's what he was asking for.
It's kind of hard without demonstrating it.
Yeah.
We should do that. We'll
Yeah,
go down to something, not tonight. But
Yeah, I was saying, I don't know if I can do that right now.
yeah. No. All right. Scott Bucher wants to know, what is a good reel for sinker rigs? And if you don't want to answer his questions because he beat me in the bet, it's okay with me.
So I would say something that holds about 400 to 500 yards of 80-pound braid, and something that's a 2-speed reel. Something that I'll kind of grab a couple right now. But
You're going to do that for Scott?
oh,
Scott, just for you. Even though, well, you're going to let me out of that bet now, so thank you. I appreciate it. We wouldn't be showing you this if you didn't do that. And I'll go ahead and read a couple. Like Andrew Carrington says, purple water for the albicores. Purple water is exactly what you're looking for. And Turbo just sent us $5. Turbo T2, thank you so very much. We really appreciate it. My motto is buy once, cry once. The best gear gets my money. Thanks for the great service, Sam and Steve. My new Talica 16 arrives tomorrow.
there you go.
All
T2?
right.
T2? Turbo T2?
Yeah. You know who that is?
Yeah, it's a Tennessee guy.
Yeah, exactly. He's a great guy. Thank you so much. Hope all is well in Tennessee. What time is it in Tennessee? Like 10:30, right?
Is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
Oh, no, wait, it's 6:30 now? Or I don't know.
7.
Yeah, 10.
Yeah. So this is kind of like your sizes here. This is a Makara 15T. This is a Penn Torque 40, and this is a Speedmaster 20. So this is about as small as I would go. This will hold about 450 yards of 80-pound braid. It's a nice reel too. It's got a nice low gear, which gives it a lot of torque. This guy here is probably your lighter of the three. It's a Penn Torque 40. been a really good performer for me. It's one that I have, so I kind of favor it for that reason. But also great 2-speed reel, super smooth drag. And then here's a Speedmaster from Shimano, kind of a little bit bigger than the 3, but it'll hold about 500 yards of 80. And this one's going to be your best price one here. So if you're looking for something that's a really good price, it's about the same price as the Fathom version of that. I should have brought that out as well, but this guy is about
Scott, don't worry about it.
$340 up to about $600, $700.
All right, perfect.
Excuse me.
Have a bite to eat. Ventura Sport Fishing, 805-676-3474. Appreciate them being sponsors of Freeman Adventures for a couple of years now. And Daiwa, of course, we deeply appreciate them sponsoring us also for a couple of years. There's going to be all kinds of great opportunities coming up shortly. Back to Scott Buchert again. How you make the sinker jigs?
How do you make them with your hands?
Yeah.
You want to show that?
I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah.
It's Scott, but
It's Scott.
yeah, why not? Sam's going to run that down. It gives me an opportunity to remind you all and thank you for watching the morning briefing. I will be talking to many of the boats who are out hammering away on the tuna this evening and seeing if they're going to make it happen. It seems to me like we're getting really, really close to that now. It seems to me like it's moon phase. Those long-range boys have been hanging in that area. They haven't been leaving it, and they are superior fishermen, and so are the day boats. Everybody down there in San Diego, just great fishermen. They're hanging there for a reason. They're seeing the fish. It just hasn't gone on the bite yet. Got a little signal last night. I want to say it was like from 3 to maybe 15 or a little better than that. I didn't get a chance to check the day boats. Anybody knows anything about the San Diego or anybody else who may have been fishing, you can let us know about that. But it really seems like that bite is imminent. And then the other one I would advise you all to keep your eyes on is the white sea bass bite for the Channel Islands. Of course, the Pride out of 22nd Street Landing in San Pedro has been doing well. But, you know, you got the Thunderbird, the Fury, all those guys. Some of those guys have caught some really giant, big yellowtail at Clemente. The bass bite's starting to come on for the new Seaforth. One of our guys just mentioned he was in a really good bass bite. So things are definitely on the upswing. And now, for Scott Buchert, here we go.
Scott, great question, Scott.
Great question.
Great
He
question.
didn't send any food tonight.
He didn't.
That's a crappy question. Actually, right?
It's okay. We give him a break. Next week. We're paying for next week. Here.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Hey, Scott, how about this? I don't owe you anything on the bet, and I'll buy the food for Sam next
There
week.
you go.
Yeah.
So I'm going to demonstrate here with a large hook here. This is actually much bigger hook, but it's going to be a little bit easier to show. The actual hook that I would probably recommend you use would be like this 2-0 ring Mutu from Owner, or even a 3-0 hook with a ring here. But this is a much larger hook with a bigger ring. It's going to be easier to show. So the first part of it here, we're just going to tie a hook.
Do you want me to go out there and get kind of close to you with that? Would that be a good idea or not? What do you think? Okay.
Yeah. Hold
People
that for
love
me.
it. Hold what?
The hook.
Oh, okay.
That's why I need you to hold the hook.
Oh, all right. Am I showing it?
So we're just, yeah. So we're just going to tie
Throw
it
him
here.
out.
I'm just going to tie in the
Damn
San Diego
Lightfoot.
here.
Dan Lightfoot, he's barely awake over there. No, we'll get a violin and start playing it. He's been up since 4. Well, you drive the hook through my finger.
Okay, so we're going to
Oh, you got it. Okay.
tie that on there.
Right.
You're gonna cut your tag. So the first part is just like any other kind of fishing. You're just going to tie the hook right to the end of your line, like if you're fly lining. And this is kind of a bigger size, so it's
What kind of knot did you tie there?
San Diego.
Okay.
Yeah, something, and you know, you don't have to tie this knot. You know, it's whatever knot you can tie. It's not
Clinch
exclusive.
knot, okay,
Clinch
yeah.
knot is fine. Anything
Yeah.
like that there. The next is going to be your line that comes for your sinker. So this is going to be really something that is going to vary. The sinker size, at least, is going to vary on current and drift. So you know, obviously, the faster you're drifting, the more weight you need. You know, I mean, actually, one of the guys was talking that he was just coming off of the Royal Star, and that they didn't have a whole lot of drift on one day, and they caught a few fish using small sinkers. They're using 2-ounce sinkers, really small. You know, which normally we think about tuna fishing, we're going way deep. You know,
right.
I guess on that particular day, just goes to show you got to take everything. They were using smaller sinkers, fishing on the slide, and almost albacore style fishing. So that's something you have to keep in mind is take a lot of different kinds of sinkers to accommodate. And so as a general rule, you kind of want to use the least amount of weight that is going to keep you vertical.
Hit that like button while you're listening to Sam, everybody.
And so what we did here is something that we've kind of talked about here in the past is using this drop shot rig. So as you can see now, I got my heavy line, my main line tied to the one side of the ring, and then you have your sinker line here tied to the other side here, to the other side of the ring. As you can kind of see that there, hopefully, is that as you go down, you're gonna be able to go down a little bit quicker with this here. You're gonna put about maybe about 2.5, 3 feet down past your sinker, past your bait. Now I did kind of mess up on this here. I should have tied. It's a good thing that I did, so I can kind of show why I did it. See, the way I tied it here, it's going to be going down this way with the hook point pointing down, which you don't want that. You want to be able to have it go down the other way. I think it'll be easier to hook the kind of like maybe anchovy style, where you hook it through the bottom of the jaw and up through the nose.
Through the nose, right?
And then as it's going down, it'll pull it down that way. So,
Yeah.
So tie the sinker side on the bottom of the ring.
So it doesn't interfere with the bait.
Yeah, yeah.
Correct.
So it stays a little cleaner. Looking for food or what?
Yeah. We got plenty of food, right?
I know.
Even the kids have had some.
Yep.
I gave Dan that, though, and he seems like a guy that only eats cheeseburgers or something. He looked at it and said, "What is this?"
I don't know. Whatever it is, it's pretty good.
Oh, did you try that?
Yeah.
That pastry thing?
Yeah.
What is it?
I'm not
You
sure,
don't
but it's
know.
pretty good. Yeah. But here's a little bit better representation here, where we have the main line on top and your sinker line on the bottom. Hopefully that's easy to see there,
Yeah, I
guys.
think so.
Yeah.
Should be
So that's
okay.
basically your sinker rig.
Scott Buchert, there you are. Thank you, Sam. I owe you no money now, Scott. Scott Buchert is back with another question for you. He wants to
This
know,
guy.
Sam, will there be albacore this year?
Before we get to that,
Yes.
I did post that link.
Oh, good. Did it work?
I'm not sure if you guys can click on that or look at that to kind of see if that takes you to the right place. I hope it does. But I did that a little bit ago. So, yes, there'll be albacore this year. No, I don't know. I don't think they will. Maybe.
Ye
Could
of
be.
little faith.
Could
Joe
be.
Lopez, hey, how do you prevent fishing pliers from getting rust lock? And how do you restore some pliers that are rusty and won't budge?
Throw them out, man.
Really?
Probably not worth it. I mean, the amount of time it's going to take to do that. I mean, there's some penetrating oil and things
Yeah.
like that you can buy at Home Depot, and you're going to have to work them little by little. I mean, little by little. But, you can throw some heat on them maybe. But, rust, once it's taken its toll, is almost not worth it. It might take you a couple days to, unrust a couple pliers that may only cost $10 or something like that, and then they're brand new. So if you can't open them, unless they've got some sentimental value, I'd probably just throw them out, go get a new pair.
Hey, folks, great show tonight. Because of your question, Sam, as always, is number one. 120 people watching now.
Wow.
And tons of likes. Please hit that like button. We appreciate you all so much. Matt Hill. Matt, good evening. He says, good evening, guys. I have a question about rigging up the Mad Mac 200. I see most people change out the stock hooks. What size treble hook do you recommend?
So depending on the size of the Mad Max, with the 160 size, the guys are going with a 4.0 size. With the 200 size, guys are going with a 5.0, and that 240 guys are using a 7.0. But above that, you want to make sure you're using at least a 4X strong hook, either from Owner or BKK, or the Mustad hook. Mustad's putting out a pretty good hook these days. Want some more of that, Diego?
We're chumming up the kids here.
Yeah, they are. Mustad just came out with that jaw lock series of hooks, and they only go up to a 5.0. So basically 4.0 to 7.0, depending on the size of your lure.
All right, the plan is to go, what?
7:30?
Another 20 minutes?
Yeah,
Man,
yeah.
I don't know if we're going to be able to pull this off. It's,
It's a little more or less.
so much fun. Yeah, I mean, we hate, so we'll probably keep going. Somebody wound Scott Buchert up tonight. Should you fish 2-speed or single speed when fly lining?
4-speed.
4-speed.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
for you, Scott. Come down and buy one.
Definitely if you're fishing, I would say 40-pound test or above, I would recommend a 2-speed. But, offshore fishing, if you're fishing anything over the weight of the size of your line, so meaning that if you're fishing 25-pound test and a 40-pound tuna or 50-pound tuna, then you're going to need a 2-speed. If you're fishing 40-pound test And a 25-pound tuna, you probably don't need a 2-speed. So you kind of have to. It depends on what you're doing. So, but as a general rule, if you're using over a multiple of one of your line size for the size fish, then maybe a 2-speed isn't a bad idea. But for most intents and purposes, I would say 40-pound test is where you really start drawing a line as to something you really want a 2-speed for.
All right, and Isaac just sent us $20, man.
Phew.
Isaac, thank you so much. We deeply appreciate the support. Keeps me from running back to China and teaching again here before too long. All right, and he says, good evening. Thank you so much, Isaac. Really appreciate it. And then now he has a question. He goes right to the top of the list.
Exactly.
If Buchert has any more questions, he's
skip over it.
taking money
Yeah,
away
yeah.
from me. Yeah, we skip right over. So, Isaac, thoughts on the Makaira 15T, recommendations on what line you would put on that and what class a reel you would fish with it?
Rod. So that 15T is really good 80-pound test. You can, depending on the brand, you might get around, I'd say 450 yards of line on there. So that's going to be a for sure. As far as what rod, you want something rated to where the top end rating is at 100. So either a 50 to 100, 60 to 100, something like that would be good. As far as a model in the United Composites, the Centaur is probably the most popular. We actually just got some more in today. It's a pretty popular rod. In the CalStars, you're looking at a single XH. So it's something like a 770, 775 XH. And in the Seekers, like a 1x3 is good. But something that tops out at 100 and a little heavier rod. I would recommend a rail rod, but a lot of guys that even go with a super heavy live bait rod too.
All right, moving up on 75 likes. Thanks for the likes. We really appreciate it. Hit that share button and share this with a friend right now. Let them know that we're doing a live show. We would really appreciate that. 120 people watching. Sam, this is a hit show because of you, because of Michael Limon, Diego, the food, Dan Lighthouse. Yeah, he's right there with Scott Buchert. Man, not so much, No, I've never. Sorry, Dan. I didn't mean to insult you that way.
Call them Lighthouse.
Oh, I did. Sorry about that. Oh, Lighthouse. Yeah, it's got no, Lighthouse got a nautical thing now.
It does.
They
It
changed
does.
your
Yeah.
name.
You know,
All right.
there, Dana Wharf, they're gonna have 40% off
Dana Wharf, 40% off. Of what?
on their anything, the tackle, the tribs you could buy.
Oh, on for Don Hanson Day?
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That sounds great. I think that's going to be when?
Like 15.
All right. Well, Dan's going to look that up and let us know. All right. Dan Smith. Phil, you remember the albacore are very sensitive about dirty water. Albacore in the clean blue, skipjack in the green. I have my fingers, toes, and eyes crossed. Yeah, absolutely, Dan. They love that clean water. Wild Willie, good evening, Phil and Sam. Good evening, Wild Willie. It's good to be with you. SoCal Steve wants to know, what knot are you using to tie to your leader from Spectra to a pre-rigged leader? Thanks in advance for the answer.
Double San Diego with a whole bunch of turns. I mean, it sounds excessive, but I'll put 20 turns on that thing. It sounds like it's going to be a gigantic knot, but it really isn't. So that's what I would do. A double San Diego with about 20 turns.
All right. Joel Lopez, any good techniques for catching giant sheepshead? Never caught a giant. They are awesome fish. What's a giant sheepshead? What would you call it? 20?
Yeah.
Over 20? Yeah. Have you caught them? Yeah.
Not that big.
I have. I
yeah.
caught like a 23 on the
That's huge.
Amigo last year.
Where'd you catch it on?
Live squid and either a slider or a lead head. Real short water, like 60
Yeah.
feet maybe.
Those big ones live in really, really shallow water.
Yeah.
I know some of the guys who target sheephead a lot. They'll get some store-bought shrimp.
Yeah.
Shrimp. They seem to like that a lot. But
That works really good.
Yeah. I don't know if it'll catches any bigger fish, but I think you just got to be on the right spot, the right day. It seems like when they get them big, that they'll get a few of them, but it's kind of hard to target them. I haven't really seen anything that just kind of like does real good on just targeting them.
Monday, May 15th.
Monday, May 15th, 40% off on a variety of different stuff. Dana Wharf Sport Fishing, our dear friend Donna over there. That is going to be fantastic. May 15th, 50% off on this day only. What better way to celebrate our truly great man, Don Hanson, who did so much for our industry. Fantastic. Donna, maybe I'll get over there and do my morning briefing from your place. That would be great. And Dave Hanson, of course, my best to Dave also. All right, let's see. We've got Current Jam. Can you recommend assist hook brands and sizes when targeting tuna and yellowtail?
So this is going to get a little bit tricky, because of the size of every brand's kind of different. Even sometimes within the same brand, you're going to get into a lot of variances. So if I were to compare it to something, I would say if you were to compare it to, let's say, a size 2.0 mustad hook, that's going to be your comparison. I'm hoping everybody has a 2.0 mustad hook to compare it to, or if you go into a tackle shop, most tackle shops would have a mustad 2.0 hook. So that's what I would compare it to. Mustad 2.0 to 3.0 hook, right in that range. I would call it 1.0 to 3.0 would be a range, but that's the size hook that I would look for in your assist hook.
All right, very good. And we're almost on borrowed time here now. 130 people watching.
Wow.
The likes are surging ahead. And we thank you so very much. I'll be on the morning briefing tomorrow morning. Don't miss that. And of course, Sam is a regular on here. And we were talking about doing some more shorts. I didn't hear the ideas, but I know they're going to be good.
So here's the idea. You
right.
guys tell me whether you guys think this is good. It might be boring.
Don't break his heart.
Yeah,
if you think it's really a dumb idea, tell him it's good.
The reason I think it might be a little bit, because it's very, very, very specific. So, seeing as our shop really deals a lot with custom rod builders, one of the questions that I normally get for a guy who's just getting in rod building is, what kind of guide should I use? And just like the questions that we get asked here, it depends. There's so many kinds of guides, brands, and series, and sizes, and models. I really wanted to go through some of the brands that we carry and really kind of spell it out model by model.
I like it. Yeah.
What someone would use on their rod. So it's very specific to rod builders. I didn't want to really put it out here because, not everybody on this, audience is a rod builder. So that's kind of what I wanted to do. So
that's a great idea. And then people who are interested in that
in the rod building would use that as a reference.
Yeah, perfect. I love it. Aaron, I have a Mac 15 Ti. What's the difference between the 20 and the 30? And do you have the Mac 20 on hand?
I
Mac
got
10. Mac 10 on hand. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I have a Mac 10. So the difference between the 20 and the 30 is that the 30 is a wide version of the 20, so it basically just has more line capacity. And the line that you would use on either one, that's really going to determine what you want to use. If you wanted to use a straight 100-pound Spectra, you would probably go for the 20. It holds a lot. It actually holds about 750 yards, 800 yards of a 100-pound Spectra. If you wanted to use a 130-pound and didn't want any splices, you would go with the 30. That'll hold about 700 yards of that. So, the 20 would probably hold about 400 yards of 130, which is kind of on the verge of being not enough. But 100-pound definitely holds more than enough. And then on the 30, you put 100-pound on that, you're probably going to get over 1,000 yards, which is way too many. So 130-pound Spectra is what you want to use on that.
Dan Lightfoot looks like he's falling asleep. He sends a message saying, "Hi, Phil. It's me, Michael, and Diego in the security room." You have a security room here?
That's where they were, yeah.
Oh, you're going to have to show me that. I missed out on that, man. Current Jam says, looking into speed jigging, any recommendations for a light setting to target tuna and forkies?
Light, did you say light setting?
Yeah.
Light setup, maybe?
Yeah. Yes.
There you go.
Yeah. Light setup.
So on that, one of the conversations I have with people all the time is that, I'm barely getting my feet wet in that whole jigging thing, but there is a difference, and I know that we've kind of gone over this a little bit, whether you're targeting, yellowtail on down, we're talking bass, rockfish, and yellowtail, and then the next step up is this big tuna. Well, with this yellowtail and smaller, we're looking at much lighter rods, sometimes a little bit longer, and you're not always speed jigging. Sometimes you're going to be doing a slow pitch, so you might want to get something that's a little more versatile, something in the 6 foot to 7 foot length. But if you're strictly, want to do the speed jigging, you're going to want to go short, 6 foot or less than that. But that's one of those questions that that's kind of as specific as I can really get. I haven't really gotten my feet wet completely where I can go on and on about them. I've done it a few times, and it's a lot of fun. Been really lucky to be able to get on some good bites. But to be honest with you, the stuff that we have here is just scratching the surface. I mean, just like, we got, 10 racks full of rail rods. I don't have 10 racks full of jigging rods. I got maybe 2 racks full of them. And a lot of them are really concentrated on the big tuna because that seems to be where a lot of the interest is coming in. But, I think that as the season goes along and the jigging thing has gained a lot of momentum this year already. We're going to have to start carrying a lot of jigging rods too. So for right now, I got a few different ones here, but that's kind of where you want to be on the lighter stuff.
All right, great question. Thank you, Sam. Great answer. Current Jam wants to know, are there any white sea bass in the San Diego area, or is Coronado Islands the only option? I can take that a little bit. It's all dependent on oceanography and food. And so back in the day, when you used to go out to the Coronado Islands and make squid, or you go down the beach, sal se puedes, make squid, there was sea bass all over there. There's still sea bass, and because of the cold water, there's been a little bit more squid down there. So it's all oceanography. So La Jolla, Torrey Pines, probably down the Baja Coast, I'd be looking at sal se puedes down in that neck of the woods. Which, have you caught sea bass at I've caught them at the Coronado Islands, actually, with Joe Chade on the Conquest.
I haven't, not down there yet.
Yeah.
Everything's been up LA here for me.
So it's all dependent on that. And this year, we do have some cold water and some squid down that way. Not looking for a wide open kind of thing, but a little bit more than we've seen for a while. Israel De La Cruz with a fishing update. We asked what the San Diego did. Israel comes right through. San Diego ended up with 25 yellows and 7 bluefin for today's trip. That is improving.
Yes.
Way improving on the
Way
bluefin.
improving,
He
yeah.
had 2 bluefin yesterday. He had 7 today. That light switch wants to go on. Man, we get rid of this choppy weather and get a little bit further away from that full moon. Tonight might be a big night, which means when I leave here, I will be laying in my bed talking to fishing boats saying, what are you doing out there, man? Bugging guys all night long.
Today's the day.
So I'm ready for the morning briefing, and I have all that info. So that sounds really good to me. Joe Lopez, I used to see people before fishing that Carolina rig a lot. Do you think that technique gets bit, and what species is it good for?
Yeah, so that's going to be, your kind of your slider rig, but basically with a stopper or a swivel in between the sinker and the hook and something like that. The Carolina rig, in general, is something that you want to use where maybe you want to use a different kind of leader on the end of your line versus what you're using on your main line. And also to be able to stop the sinker from going all the way down to the hook. You'll have either a swivel or a Carolina keeper up above it. The other part of it, too, is what you're fishing for. And a sea bass would be okay with that, halibut, anything where you're in the drift dragging on the bottom. Yes, buddy? Yeah, you can sit down right here.
You can slide right up here if you want, Diego, and sit right with us. Pop right up here, buddy. We'd love to have you here.
There you go.
We need somebody good looking on this show.
Yeah.
You want to get in here? Jump in. Kids are welcome.
I know in the freshwater it's super common, trout, bass, catfish, that Carolina rig's super common. But saltwater wise, maybe even that sheephead we were talking about, maybe using it for that.
Yeah.
You wouldn't use a huge long leader because you get snagged up in the structure there a lot, but you could use it for that too.
And Michael, you're not allowed to leave your grandfather leave tonight. No matter how pathetic he looks over there and tired, his eyes are, what happened here? Wouldn't fall for it, huh? All right. ST, Mr. Friedman, please call me Philip, but thank you for that respect. When do you sleep? That is a really good question,
When do you sleep?
I don't know, man. Never. That's when I sleep. I honestly try to get 7 hours, and most of the time I can do it because I go to bed early.
Yeah,
I try to go to bed at 8:30.
Not today.
Yeah, I know. It's going to be a rough one. And I'm up about 4:30 usually, and then start laying it out. And so just so you know, when I do the morning briefing, when it goes up at 7:30, I've been working on it for 2-3 hours because I've got to edit it, I've got to cut it, I've got to render it, I've got to upload it to YouTube. So I'm working my fingers to the bone for you
like
people.
You're crying a lot here, yeah.
Yeah, really. Get a violin and start playing it. Yeah. Poor guy, yeah. Just like Dan over here. Steve Bermuda, Sam, does your tackle shop sell gear like barbless hooks? Trout gear. You sell trout gear here?
We
You
sell trout gear,
right?
definitely, definitely. But I don't sell barbless hook. That's kind of more of a region-specific thing. I know some of the mountain areas there that require you to use barbless hooks. I don't carry those specifically, but we carry almost everything else.
Okay, all right. Steve, you're going to have to go somewhere else for your barbless hooks.
Sorry, man.
Big G, good evening, gentlemen. I have a CalStar 800 heavy and an 800 extra heavy. What reels would you match with those, Sam, between the Makes and International?
Max and
Max
International.
and International.
Yeah, probably you're looking at I would say the two smallest ones, which are going to be your 10 and your 15T. That 10 be something you could fish 40 pound on, and that 15T something for 50 pound. But yeah, they don't go too small in those internationals, on the Macairos. On the internationals, the smallest that they make is a 12, which you may be able to fish that 800 XH on that, but really that 12 is probably something better for 60 pound, whereas that 800 XH is probably something better for 50 pounds. So you may be a little bit mismatched on the internationals.
All right, we're supposed to go 2 more minutes, but if people get us up to 100 likes, we'll stay for a little bit longer.
4 more
2 minutes to get 17 likes. That's going to be very difficult.
Speed reading.
I got a
I
question.
don't know. Here's a question. I will repeat it. Go ahead, Dan.
When fighting yellowtail, is it better to put a lot of pressure? Because I heard if you don't put too much pressure, they won't run. into
Dan
the
wants to
tail.
know, when fighting a yellowtail, is it better to pull on them hard, put a lot of pressure, or do you slack off because then they won't run into the reef or the kelp or whatever?
Well, better is kind of a relative term. I feel like pulling on them real hard is more fun.
Yeah.
But you're right, Dan. There are times, and I've seen it before, where like a yellowtail gets caught up in a kelp string or something like that. You free spool it, and they'll swim out. You know, but by rule, I would find it real hard to just hook one and then free spool it and let it go,
Yeah,
type
me-
of thing. You know, I couldn't do that. But I will say that it seems like no matter how hard you pull, soft or hard, they fight about the same. It seems like, you know. So you get a rent rodder that obviously, you know, can't pull too hard, they land a fish. You get a seasoned angler that pulls real hard, and it seems like they land them just as good or just as hard. So you're probably pretty accurate on that part of it. But in my opinion, it's way more fun to pull hard.
That's
on
what I
them.
was going to say.
Yeah, yeah.
It's way more fun to
Yeah.
button down and pull.
Yeah, yeah,
Right?
yeah. See that rod bent over like that is way more fun.
Well, because I went on a Top Gun 80 and they were like, if you don't pull so hard, they won't take you into the...
Dan is
Yeah,
saying that
yeah.
on the Top Gun 80, they were saying don't pull so hard and they won't take you into the rock. So that is definitely Tom Durr, I think.
Yeah.
Was telling
No,
me
I
that.
mean, like I said, I don't disagree with that theory. I think that you might get some fish that are just smarter than others, and they're going to take you in the structure no matter what. But I think by and large, you'll find that there's at least some percentage of those fish that just don't swim into the structure if you don't pull too hard. I could see that happening.
Gilbert Ibana says, "What knot do you?" Hey, are we still going? Only 83 likes. Nobody. Or wait, do you have
Nobody
something?
likes
Do you have 83 on there?
Mine doesn't show. Yeah.
All right, because mine might be frozen.
I have
again.
13.
13. Okay, yeah, you're all screwed up. I got 120 people watching and 83 likes. But anyway, Gilbert Ibanez. Hey, Sam, what knot do you recommend tying my 130-pound top shot to pre-tied 200-pound leader that I got from your
complicated.
shop? Springer knot?
Okay, let's see here. So what was the question here?
Hold on, I'll reread it for you. Gilbert Ibanez says, what knot do you recommend tying my 130-pound top shot to pre-tied 200-pound leader that I got from your shop?
Springer knot?
Yeah.
Yeah, you could tie that knot. You know, I don't tie that knot myself, but I know it's a really, really strong knot. A lot of long rangers use it. I'm just a big fan of that San Diego knot. At night, you know, I'll go double San Diego, which is an even stronger knot. So that's what I tie. But that really is a lot has to do with the fact that I'm really comfortable with that knot. So, and especially at night, you're not really looking for stealth. That Springer knot is really something that you're looking at for daytime, you know, big tuna fishing down below in Mexico where you're fly lining. Not really when you're, you know, fishing at night. You don't need to be stealthy.
Charles Zimmer says he's looking forward to the Apollo trip coming
There
up.
you go.
We're going May 31st to June 2nd, 2 days on the Apollo. Why don't you go with us?
You got spots
I
available?
might have one open. I think
right.
it's sold out, but, you know, we might be able to make room for you. Yeah, you're not going, I can
I
tell.
don't think I'm going to go.
All right, Gregory Wilson. If those pliers are worth saving, soak them in vinegar. When you buy new pliers, melt candle wax into the pivot point. That keeps them lubed and helps them last longer. Good advice.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you heard of that before?
I have, yeah. I've seen some videos on that, actually, now that you mention it.
Joel Lopez, this is to tickle Phil's imagination. We saw Bluefin came heavy into our waters. The gear to fish, it changed dramatically than what was before. Do you expect this to happen if albies come back?
No.
You mean fishing, what, heavier gear or what?
No, well,
What's the
just,
question?
maybe he's thinking about if the gear changes from the last time. No, I mean...
You mean, are they going to bite different feathers and...
Maybe, yeah, or just... you know, there isn't going to be that kind of change. I think what we've been fishing for our local, you know, Catalina or maybe even that kelp patty fishing, like it was asked earlier, 20, 25 pound test, I think, still going to be what guys got to use. I don't think there's going to be a new kind of line or anything like that. This tuna was something that kind of caught us off guard because you just, normally on an overnight trip, 25 to 40 pound test is all you needed. Well, that's because the fish that we were catching was maybe up to 30 pounds on an overnight trip, Pretty rare that you'd catch a 50-pound fish of any species on an overnight trip.
Absolutely right.
So now that 50-pound fish has become almost the bottom of what we're measuring things,
I know.
So obviously the tackle has changed because of that. But on the albacore, a big albacore is, 90-pounder, but super rare, even more rare than a 50-pound yellowtail, I would think. Your more average albacore is going to be in that 15 to 20-pound range, something like that, if you wanted to call it an average. And the tackle is going to be 20-pound test. So I don't see a whole lot changing there.
Sam, it's kind of crazy, and I'm sure Dan would feel the same way about this. For us guys who grew up catching a 12 or 15-pound bluefin and thinking it was really great, if you juxtapose that experience to guys who just started fishing 6 years ago, and they think this is the norm, man, I mean, that's why guys like us, when we see this going on, we're like, wow, this is like crazy. Unbelievably like heaven. And other guys, I'm guessing, are thinking, hey, this is just a normal deal, man.
Yeah. I only caught one 50-pounder this trip, It's like, well, that used to be kind of a fish of the year.
When we were catching those bluefin at, like, say, Cornwall Islands back in the 70s and early 80s, I guess, we had to use 10, 15.
Yeah, Dan is making the point that we were fishing 10, 12, 15-pound, number 8 hook. Fly line and a hot chovy, and it was a way different ball game for sure. We're fishing super light line. All right, cue ball, the bluefin ate all the albies. Don't tell Phil.
That's a possibility, yeah.
I think you're right, man. Rick Slater, what are these deep water bluefin tuna feeding on? I wanted to ask that question. It's a good question. Is it just a reaction bite? Would scent or real bait help? I'm going to ask my guys when I'm talking to them tonight on the boat what they're seeing in their guts.
Yeah.
Probably squid. But
a lot of times you don't see anything.
Yeah?
Yeah.
They're hungry little devils, huh?
Yeah. You don't see anything a lot of times, But sometimes, it depends on where they're coming through. I think that once they get to, like, Cortez and places like that, those high spots, and they start kind of, like, living there, you'll see rockfish in their bellies and things like that, when you catch them at night. But when they're in that open water, seems like below San Clemente Island, before they get up to the islands, a lot of times you don't see anything in their bellies when they flush them out.
All right, good question. Gerard wants to know, please, can you explain fishing the slide for a newcomer like myself? Thank you for the information. Gerard, you came to the right place, man, because you're a first-timer. No, seriously, there's no some guy put on the YouTube channel today, hey, I got a really dumb... I said, there's no such thing. We're all learning about something. So the slide, you want to take it?
Now the stern of the boat, right?
Wait a minute now. Yeah, the pointy end, right?
The pointy end.
Yeah, right. Starboard, midship. Okay.
So basically, let's just call this the boat here. So it's going around looking for fish. And when they find some fish, hopefully they troll over them, and you get to where you get a troll stop, or maybe they just stop the boat because they found some fish on the fish finding, devices. So when they stop the boat, it doesn't stop like a car, right? There's no friction with the water, so it's going to slide to a stop, and that might be a quarter mile depending on the
size
boat.
Of the boat.
Yeah, that kind of stuff, how fast they were going and stuff like that. But usually it's a couple hundred yards that it's going to take for them to actually come to a full stop. So while that boat decides to stop from that distance, from that point to where it actually stops, it slides to a stop. So we call it the slide, fishing the slide. And basically what that means is that depending on the boat and whether you're trolling or not, you may or may not be able to actually fish the slide because you don't want to tangle the troll lines. But basically you're putting a bait or a jig in the water as the boat is coming to a stop. And a lot of times the boat, what they'll do is that when they see those fish on the fish finding device, fish finder or whatever they got going on, is they'll chum to try to get the fish to come up to the surface and hopefully get activated and start biting, or baits. So sometimes if you get your bait or jig kind of mixed up in that chum, you can get one of those fish to come up and eat your bait on the slide. So that's basically what it means, yeah.
All right, great question. Thanks for asking. Abraham, I need to fill up my reel, but have existing braid that's still good. I believe it's 80 pound, but don't remember. What would you or someone be able to eyeball it and determine what the test is?
Yeah. You bring it in, and we can, since we got a whole bunch of line behind us, we can compare it to something that's real close and make a really good educated decision or educated guess on what's on your reel.
Cue Ball says Dave's amazing. I think he's talking about Dave Hansen, maybe, or
It could be, yeah.
yeah, or Dave Sanderson, maybe from
Yeah.
SKB. Who knows? Dan Smith, Phil, when you caught that 23-pound sheep's head, did you do the sheep's head call? Of course not. I could never come close to Tino Valentine and the sheep's head call. That is wild. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I've seen that.
Pretty funny. All right, David. Speaking of Calico Bass, Sam, what do you think about the Daiwa Coastal 200 for local bass?
Nice reel, really nice reel. It's probably one of the nicer 200 size reels. Basically, a little smaller than your 300 size reel, as the name would imply. But that Coastal 200, really nice reel. I prefer a little bit larger reel, so you have a little bit more versatility. Because sometimes you're throwing larger lures or smaller lures or fishing deeper water. That Coastal is something that works really good for guys that are maybe fishing the wall, places that you're very, very predictable on the depth and kind of what you're targeting and what you're using. So, really nice reel, but maybe not as versatile as I would want for a dedicated calico reel.
All right, I have no idea how many likes or anything because that part of my screen is frozen, but I'm guessing we're up there near 100 now. All right. Oh my God, we have a lot of questions. We're never going to get out of here again.
Let's fire through them.
Okay, here we go. Mike Trunk, what's the best bait to hook a Phil Freeman? I'm going to get in trouble here.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
I don't know, Mike. I would say sushi's good. Probably, if I had to pick, it would be a big, juicy ribeye steak that's rare.
There you go.
Mike, just fly line that, man. You got me, I'm telling you. Turbo T2. Sam, do you have any Tranks 400 HG left-handed version in stock?
I don't. I haven't seen one in a while, so no, sorry, man.
What's your favorite to prepare and eat your fish? What's your favorite way, I'm guessing? Joe Lopez.
Pretty much bake. Bake my fish. I usually will have it with a salad, kind of mixed in with a salad, or like a tuna salad, I guess. So that's probably my favorite way. But it depends on the fish too. Like rockfish and calico bass, stuff like that, you can fry it or do other things with it.
Yeah, I like olive oil and lots of garlic, and you can just saute it.
Saute it. Yeah.
I hate to admit it, I'm a sucker for Ensenada fish tacos, man.
Yeah.
So it's with the
Beer batter.
yeah, heck yeah, man. I mean, it is so good, and I think we're getting a taste of that on Sunday over at the Rod and Gun Club on that event. All right, let's see.
Joel,
Joel,
you
have to do the sheep's head call. Joel Lopez, and how do you preserve the fish long without vacuum seal? Well, I'll tell you how. You eat it when it's fresh,
yeah.
and then the rest of it you give to your neighbors and let them enjoy it while it's fresh. That's the whole point of going fishing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to eat fish that's sitting in, go buy it at the fish market. And you got to eat it when it's fresh.
Yeah, the only way you're really going to preserve it well is a vacuum seal.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, SoCal Steve, good idea, Sam. I am a Fuji Guide user for my custom rods. Always good to see what's out there. That would be a super good segment.
There
Great.
you go.
Steve Bermudez, would love to hear your opinion on rod guides. It's a mystery to me.
That's good. Yeah, so maybe we'll do that.
Okay. Tim Marquez, I use bacon fat. Now, what could be better than that? To soak my, I didn't know. I thought I was going to eat something. To soak my pliers and then wipe them down. There's a good one.
Yep.
Yellowtail, you want me to go here, man. I'm trying. Yellowtail 69 Wasabi. Hey, Sam, do you have any perfection guides? I'm old school.
Very, very little. That stuff's almost maybe on the verge of being extinct here. So, but Perfection Guides as a brand, no, I don't have it. They haven't, that company hasn't been around in probably 25 years. But as far as that style of guide, those wire guides, I have some sets left. But if you're really a big fan, I'd come down and pick them up. There's not too much of that left.
Axel Ram 5510. Happy Mother's Day to all the Friedman family moms. That is
Awesome.
Lovely. I get 2 Mother's Days. I get the one coming up, and then Costa Rica has their Mother's Day in August.
So lucky.
Yes, and it's insisted upon that I honor both those days.
Yeah.
So of course I do.
Sounds like you don't want to.
No, I do.
Yeah.
I do. Yeah, of course. Mi amor, te amo. All right, Nelson DG. Check out Johnny Jigs for slow jigging and fast jigging.
He's got a YouTube channel, I think. Pretty good channel, actually. I watched a lot of his videos.
All right, and so Nelson DG has that, or no?
No,
Johnny
Jigs.
So if you
Johnny
look for Johnny Jig on YouTube, you
Yeah.
can find him. There you go. DJ B with a $20 bill. Woo! You know how much of that you get? None. All right. Late to the party. We'll catch up on the real stream. Just saying, this is a great podcast format. Very informative. Please support FA all DJB. Thank you. Thank you, Sam.
Thank you.
We appreciate it very much. Doug, Ruben, El Sueño, hello from sunny San Diego. Some big tuna on the San Diego today. So not only did he have 7 bluefin, it
Big
sounds
ones.
like
Phew.
grandes. That sounds good. Chewy, SoCal, Carolina Rigs works great for shore fishing as
Yeah.
well. True. Yeah, really
Fishing
good
the
for perch. Corbina.
Elephant
Cue ball.
croaker.
Pull. Hey, what's the score on the Denver game out there, everybody? Scott's got Denver. He's going to kill me on that game, too. Cue ball. Pull for all you're worth. I agree, for sure. 51, Soriano. Hey, how are you guys getting out of work? Good to see you guys. It's not us, right? We're working
he's
right
talking
now.
to
This is
somebody.
work. Joe Lopez, best options for long sleeve sun shirts. Keep you from getting sunburned. I'm like an iguana. My wife says I'm like an iguana. I'm out there soaking up the vitamin D.
You are.
Yeah.
Like an iguana.
You mean the brain power of one? Lizard brain, right? Do you have? Do you know anything about clothing?
Not too much. I mean,
think
you know, they all have that SPF rating on them,
Yeah.
I guess, you know, and probably get the highest one, I
This
guess.
thing looks pretty good. I'd keep the sun off
Yeah,
you, wouldn't
yeah,
it?
sweater, yeah.
Yeah. What is that? What is the SP?
Psycho tuna.
Psycho
Psycho
tuna.
tuna.
All right, very good. Here we go. Israel, Sam, how often should we replace our Spectra?
When you need it to be replaced, yeah. You know, that's kind of a crazy question. You know, I mean, Spectra by itself isn't going to degrade like mono or something like that. It's not going to get memory, but it's going to be something you have to kind of keep an eye on and maybe make some mental notes as to like if you get into some bad tangles or if the Spectra rubs on the boat, things like that. You know, might damage the Spectra. So it has to be damaged with some type of friction or rubbing or something like that. It's not going to be something that's going to go bad on its own. So there isn't really a timeline. But if you have any questions about it and you're not sure, I'd say replace it for that reason. But other than that, I would say you don't really have a timeline.
We got sons.
What do I have, sons? Yeah, I have 2 sons.
No, the Denver.
Oh, what's the score? I don't have Denver. I got the Suns.
Yeah, 29, 40.
40 to 29. Okay, very good. I'm getting screwed again. I'm going to have to come up with something with Bucher. He's killing me tonight. I don't like it. Hey, Sam, we're almost done. Do you have any, is there a word this week on a discount or
yeah, think of
anything?
something. I'll think of something.
Yeah, because we only have a few more questions and we're
Okay,
going to wrap
okay.
this show up because Dan wants to go home. You got to get Diego home to bed. And
Yep.
this kid is up too late. I think he's up too late right now. All right. Cue Ball says the square part. Good night, guys. He's already saying good night. Martin M. When fly lining live anchovy, what hooks and size hook do you recommend so the anchovy doesn't swim sideways?
Small hooks, maybe a size 4. Yeah. Size 4 mustad probably be about the right size.
Yeah, that sounds good to me. All right, Chewy, North SoCal. Best bait to catch Phil would be an albacore. Yeah, I think you're right. That's another good one, man. Grilled albacore. We used to do something called a pig night during Lent on the Friday, you know, where you couldn't eat meat. We'd put the grill on at 11 o'clock at night. And when it hit 12:01, it was game on, man. We didn't eat meat, you know, being good Catholics.
Yeah.
And then, but when it was midnight, you know, 1 minute after, man, the steaks were coming off, and it was kind of a fun thing. All right. Hey, Sam, can you recommend a link or an ink for making
Yeah.
my line?
Marking.
Oh, marking my line. I'm using a Sharpie permanent marker, J braid, and it still bleeds after drying after 3 days with the line exposed.
You know, I'm not sure. I know some guys use some, they call it fabric pens or fabric markers. You know, stuff that they use specifically for doing textiles. but I'm not really sure about them not bleeding. We've had a lot of trouble with that too. You know, that's why we've gone to the meter line. You know, I probably would recommend just going to that if you can. But yeah, you might run into that trouble. It does happen, you know, and you have to remark it, and it does bleed. It's kind of a bad deal, I know. One of the things you also want to do is that when you make the mark, get a towel, and then just kind of press it real hard. Try to really kind of like blot as much of that ink out of there.
All right, very good. Nelson DG says good night. Tony says good evening, guys. Phil, do you remember fishing the slide with an AA swim bait purple chovy and getting hooked on the albies? Of course, man.
Yeah.
That was instant, right?
That was hot.
That was good. Very good. All right.
All right.
Sam, do you have a word
Yeah,
or
so what
anything? You want to sit there? I'm going to jump over here.
So what I'll do here through Saturday is if you mention CCA, you know, because we want to all go to the CCA barbecue. I hope you guys were able to check that out and see if that link worked. But if you
If not,
mention,
I'll put it on my Facebook page tomorrow.
if you mention CCA, it'll give you 25% off any clothing item in the store. So if you guys are starting to get ready for the season, getting some gear, T-shirts, hats, anything like that, or your SPF sun shirts, long sleeve shirts, you know, whatever we got in stock here, 25% off of anything clothing related.
All right, and if anybody out there can do anything to help the Phoenix Suns beat Denver, so I don't know, Scott, Buchard, money, I would deeply appreciate it. Sam, another great show. What can I say? The kids were running around having fun. We had great food. Dan was here. Lightfoot was here. Did I call him Lighthouse earlier?
Yeah, you did, yes.
I like that better, actually. I'm going to change your name. Hey, and thank you, everybody who joined us tonight. We managed to keep this at about under 2 hours tonight. So it was a great show, deeply appreciated, and we thank you all so very, very much. Have a great evening. Any other comment that we need to read? Or are we out of here?
That's it.
All right, good night, everybody. Thank you.